People should be paid so that they are able and willing to perform socially useful and desirable duties. Okay, so the radical leftists, they react to me this way. They say, well, you hold a position of privilege and power. And I think, first, you don't know a goddamn thing about me, and you have no idea how I got to my position of privilege and power. And it was no birthright, I can tell you that. I was a small, like, thick-glassed, intellectual, what do you call that, athletic child. You know, I was a year younger than my peers. I suffered plenty of, what would you say, trouble for my loud mouth and my intellect when I was growing up, you know. I had my struggles. I'm not complaining about it. The point is that you can't attribute privilege to a class of people, you know, and you can't attribute power to people who happen to occupy a position of competence and authority either. There's some possibility that they occupy that because they worked hard and were fortunate, let's not forget about that, and had some good social support and didn't have some horrible disease, thank God. But you can't just make the case that the position is there as a reward. It's not there as a reward at all. It's there as a consequence of the person offering something valuable to those who want to pay for it. And the reason you pay for them isn't to reward them. It isn't so that you give them a pat on the back and say, well, you're a good person and you know you deserve this position. It's because you're saying to them, produce. We find what you're producing of value. And so we're going to give you what you need in order to be motivated to keep doing it. But it's not because we like you. It's not because we respect your rights. It has nothing to do with equity. It's we're trying to get every goddamn thing we can from you as fast as possible. And we're going to pay you to do it. And so people deserve their damn pay. And the reason they deserve it isn't because it's a reward. It's because that's how you get productive people to do things that are difficult and time-consuming and that perhaps they wouldn't do on their own accord, to continue doing them so you can benefit from it. So the whole notion that, you know, we're awarding positions of privilege to oppressive patriarchal types, it's like we just have to get rid of that. Enough of that. That's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. And the other thing too is, you know, it's only been 30, 40 years, 50 years since women had reliable birth control, right? And were able to enter the workforce en masse. I'll tell you, man, we've produced a cultural revolution in like 50 years. Women are everywhere. It's like, how bloody fast do you expect something like that to go? And what makes you think that pushing it really hard is going to make it go any better? I mean, as far as I can tell, we managed that transition about as well as we possibly could have. We're still sorting out the details. But the fact that, you know, this is coming very rapidly down the pipes, the fact that half of our corporate board members are women is not indicative of the fact that we live in an unconsciously biased, misogynistic, patriarchal society. Sorry, wrong, not correct. And so we shouldn't be allowing, and this is happening very, very rapidly, and you can be sure Kathleen Wynne is going to be putting this in as policy as rapidly as she possibly can, these equity demands to ensure that there's proportional representation of every gender, every sex, every race, every ethnicity, at every level of every organization. It's like, really? We're going to do that by governmental fiat? It's like, that's not a society I want to live in, I tell you. And I'm quite certain that if you lived in that society for any length of time, you'd learn very rapidly that it isn't a society that you'd want to be part of either. Citizens have the inalienable right to benefit from the results of their own honest labor. That's a good one. Yes, that's a conservative truism. You know, why? Well, it isn't because you're good-hearted and you want them to have money. It's because they'll work if you let them benefit from the work, and you want them to work, because if they work, then they do things that you need. It's as simple as that. It's self-interest, and it's the right kind of self-interest. So if you work hard, it's like, great, have your money. You know, and you hear people all the time talking about how corrupt our society is and how the 1%, you know, occupies this pinnacle position. You know, the 1% turns over pretty damn fast, just so you know it. So you have about a 10% chance of spending at least 1 year in the top 1% chance during your life. I think that's right. I think it's 10%. It might be higher than that. But it's fast. The 1% is stable as a phenomena, but it turns over very rapidly in terms of who occupies it. And it's the same in every society. The wealth is always distributed inequitably. It's a natural law. You can look it up. It was discovered by a guy named Wilfred Pareto back in the late 1800s. Goods tend to distribute themselves inequitably. It can be a problem, but it doesn't mean that there's something fundamentally corrupt about the social structure that's driving it in that direction. And like, you don't want some filthy rich geniuses lying around? Like maybe you do. I mean, look at what Elon Musk is doing, for God's sake. Maybe he should have 10 times as much money as he has. He's going to launch a rocket every 5 days to Mars in the next 10 years, right? He wants to wipe out fossil fuel cars, and he might do it. He wants to revolutionize the transportation system, and he might do it. He wants to put us on the damn solar grid with his new batteries, and he might do it. It's like, oh no, he has a couple of $1 billion. Well, God only knows what he's going to produce with that. It's like, so obviously there's going to be some corrupt rich plutocrats who do nothing but smoke cigars and snort cocaine. They're not going to live very long anyways. But there's lots of people out there who have the money they have because they would really like to do interesting and creative things with it, not because they're interested in gathering more, paper money to stuff in their mattress and to feel the smooth delight of gold coins between their fingers before they go to bed. Like, what kind of attitude is that towards people who've made their fortune? You think that about Steve Jobs? You think that about Bill Gates? I mean, good God, I don't know how, those people made a lot of money, but man, thank God they were around, They've given us some tools that are just absolutely unbelievable. So, maybe we could leave the jealousy of the successful behind for a while and notice now and then that some of the people who got to where they are actually deserve to get to where they are, and we should be thankful that they exist. That would be nice, a little gratitude, and that's a good conservative value too.